Hades, Lord of Riches, Equanimity, Wisdom, and Inevitability. And I got really curious after that last reading that, like, who might be casting witchcraft or evil eye or something at you to stop your forward movement? Because it seemed really interesting how many balance points kind of came out. We had the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Cups, and the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Cups, and even right at the end there, we had Constantine and Thor Ragnarok. Like that balance really showed a theme through. So I'm not quite sure if this is someone's trying to throw off the balance or trying to prevent the balance. But one of the things that I had mentioned was glamour magic. And if you know anything about Hades, he would be a good choice for glamour magic because of the black helm. And that is a helmet that allowed him to be invisible not only to humans, but gods. Because it was a little unsettling, when he would come to Earth, being of the underworld. So kind of want to go incognito. We also have this Serpent's Embrace card here. And what I was getting from this is the romanticizing of the legend between Hades and Persephone. It somehow has gotten turned into like this love story and whatnot. Hi, Pumpkin. He kidnapped her. Like that, I'm not quite sure why that's getting romanticized, but Hades didn't even ask Persephone for her hand. He asked Zeus, her father, which I'm not sure if it had anything to do with, Persephone being an illegitimate child, because her mother is not Hera, it's Demeter. And so it's kind of like oh yeah, you're in love with her, go ahead and kidnap her. Like, just get this problem out of my face. And it's just taken on this different turn. And so it's kind of what the impression I got from this Serpent's Embrace, that the truth of her, the truth of the matter, is getting buried by this laziness, this collective opinion that could potentially be influenced by a glamour. So we'll start getting some cards out and dig a little further into this. And, as I talk about things in terms of witchcraft, that could also just be someone manipulating the situation. That black helm trying to go unnoticed, just be unassuming when really you're doing something pretty nefarious. And we have the Three of Gems in reverse. So that's the Three of Pentacles. Something to do with work. Disharmonious work, and harmony was a theme in that last reading too. This is the Dark Crystal Tarot. So something to do with work or collaboration, triangulation. If you're familiar with that, that can get pretty complicated, but it would, you would need that cover, that kind of cloaking of the proverbial black helm to either keep up with manipulation or, interfere with some sort of collaboration, something like that. Let's get another card here, contextualize this a little bit more. Because when it comes to the pomegranate seeds that Persephone ended up eating, he tricked her. That was a trick to, like, after Zeus broke the news that, oh, hey, Demeter is raising the earth, with Hecate looking for her daughter, and there's famine and people are dying, like, you have to give Persephone back. And he's like, oh, okay, like, and then tricked her into eating pomegranate seeds so that she would have to return, like, be forced to return. And yes, Persephone, she made the best of a bad situation, but just let's not get lost in the fact that she was kidnapped. It's not very romantic. We've got Knight of Stones, Knight of Swords, and Queen of Gems, and both are in reverse. Could these be the two other people, maybe besides you or whomever is in the Hades role in this, that are attempting to be triangulated, that are participating in triangulation? Because that could be an even larger group. Kind of hard to tell how many snakes are in this, but it's usually 3 people in the Three of Pentacles, and triangulation, it's 3. So we'll just roll with that for simplicity's sake. But the Knight of Stones in reverse, interesting. It's almost like they're flipped in their roles. Because normally Queen of Gems would be like meticulous and careful, and Knight of Stones is the reckless hero. But I'm feeling these as whatever's being said or done in the background is kind of throwing them into bizarro world, potentially, that maybe they don't have all the information. Like Persephone didn't know about the pomegranate seeds, but they're getting like partial information and then acting on that. Which, yeah, on one hand, you have the person who's doing the manipulation, but on the other, like, are you thinking critically about what is being presented to you? Let's get one more card here. Because this is something that I really differ with other spiritualists on, and a little bit of a trigger warning, but trauma does not happen for you, it happens to you. I'm a big believer in free will, and that someone else can exercise their free will against you. And it's really harmful to be like pushing a narrative that like there's more meaning in the trauma than there is. It's great if you can find meaning from it, but by nature, traumatic events are in excess of what your nervous system can handle. Like, that's how things like PTSD happen. It's a neurological injury that you have to tend to and heal. And in many cases, it's as a result of someone else making a choice that harmed you. And I just know what it's like to be earlier on the journey in dealing with trauma and not getting people to understand, like, you cannot personal accountability your way out of somebody else's antagonistic personality. You just can't. And when you go and say, like, work in an office or something, and maybe someone you end up working with, not even somebody you interviewed with, but somebody you end up working with is like abusive or something, that's on them. That's not on you. You're not a magnet for that. That's their thing. That's their problem. So maybe there's some sort of fundamental misunderstanding like that. You know, like how this myth is getting romanticized and forgetting the true nature of it, that like she was kidnapped. That's not a heartwarming story of empowerment. Like, she made the best she could in captivity. And we've got the Seven of Swords in reverse. So deception revealed. Somebody seeing through the mess, or seeing like reason, exercising reason in this situation. Because that's another thing that just like grinds my gears when people say it's happening for you, not happening to you. No, it's happening to you. And it just seems to get lost on people that even if you yourself have been through trauma, that doesn't necessarily mean you have the framework or the vocabulary even to convey these things in a healthy way, in a constructive way. Because that, you can't take personal accountability for everything. Like, other people have their own choices, and sometimes those negatively impact you. And I used to suffer from the, like, I can take on responsibility for everything. Like, I can do everything. You can't. Other people need to be responsible for their actions. It will shatter your nervous system trying to shoulder everything. This could also be like a thwarted sabotage attempt. Maybe that's where the triangulation was headed. Because the Seven of Swords, that's like in the Rider-Waite, the person taking the swords from the camp, from the warring camp, so they don't have it for the battle the next morning. So what is this? What is this little Three of Pentacles deception about? Nope. The Veil of Resilience. Kind of got a dark angel thing going on. But it was in reverse. So something to break down resilience. And I'm just going to kind of stick with that theme of things that people say about trauma that bother me. Because resilience is another one of those topics, like, people mean well, but then they say something really insensitive. Like, you're so strong, you're so resilient. And, okay, what was the other option, though? Like, these are not choices. In order for there to be a choice, there has to be more than one viable option. That it's force, it's... Oh, maybe people not seeing... They only see the choice you made, not the options you have. So they're making some sort of judgment on that. Like, in the context of Hades and Persephone, assuming that they're in love, that she wants to be down there, that she wants to be the queen. Like, she was forced. She's doing the best she can with the situation she never asked for. Temperance in reverse. Maybe this is something you're losing patience with? Because this stuff does really grind you down over time. Because it seems so... I don't know. Logical? Once you actually think about these things for a little bit. Like, yeah, the reductionist advice... Sure, it looks nice on an Instagram post. And it lets people, like, virtue signal their way through life. Like, give the impression that they're being supportive, when really it's the illusion of support. So is this... I just got like a really weird scenario in my head. It'd almost be like, and you would really have to be dealing with somebody exceptionally cruel for this. But it's like if they knew you were dealing with, I don't know, a medical issue or something. And those are expensive. I'm seeing more and more GoFundMe's for, like, celebrities, celebrity families. Like, if they can't afford it, where's that leave the rest of us? You know? And so it's almost like, in order to keep you in place, to keep you in the proverbial underworld, it's like they've preemptively gone around to the Knight of Stones, the Queen of Gems, whoever's involved, and like, oh, they're struggling with addiction issues. Like, something like that. Like, they're gonna hit you up for money when, like, you needed help with your medical bills, but they've got some sort of grudge against you that... Or maybe they want to possess you, you know, like Hades and Persephone. Keep you in place so long that it wears you down, that somebody who is not an option becomes an option. Something like that. Some wacko something or other. And rightfully so, you would be losing your patience with that. Because that's insane. It feels like a, I don't know, like a Criminal Minds episode or something like that. But it's like the perception is in favor of the outcome of whomever Hades is in this, when in reality, you, if you are Persephone in this reading, you're buried under snakes, trying to get out, but you can't. Four of Stones, Four of Swords. That's like the ultimate happiness card. The Ceremony of the Lovers. That's what you're trying to get to? Or maybe that's what was promised. And that's not what's happening, so you're losing patience. But there's some sort of like every time a promise is made, there's an excuse for why it hasn't been followed through on. Something like that. But there will be something sneaky happening, like, you're so resilient, you're so this, that, or the other, like, the focus gets turned back on your positive traits as a way to detract from, like, hey, you didn't keep your promise. Like, you were supposed to let me out of the underworld, and now I'm finding out that you're not supposed to eat food from here, otherwise you get trapped. That was critical information, which was a theme that came up in the last reading of, like, somebody giving you paperwork and then, like, oops, this really important page slipped out. 8 of Gems. 8 of Pentacles. The Artisan. I mean, if it is work, are you not getting your dues? Like what you're supposed to be receiving? Something that would afford you the opportunity to get this 4 of Wands. Or 4... wait. 4 of Swords, it's rest. I was thinking about that at like 4 of Wands. Deception. We don't even have the wands on the table. It's a shards. So this is preventing you from getting rest, maybe. Which could lead to some confusion, some brain fog. Because I don't remember if Persephone knew ahead of time if you couldn't eat food from the underworld, otherwise you'd be, like, obligated to stay. I don't think so. So, artisan, hard work, not getting your rest because you're having to be resilient. And maybe you've just been cycling around this 8 of Pentacles, like, okay, I know how to make these. Because if you've seen the Rider-Waite, you know, it's the guy sitting on the bench with the, like, the chiseling out different little pentacles, and it's like, you're done. Let me out of here. Like, I've served my sentence. But over on the right, what's the holdup? Why can't we break free of this? And if you suspect that somebody's putting something in your food, like, please be careful. I did see an article not all that long ago that poisonings are on the rise. I don't know what's causing that, but apparently it's a thing. The bloom of mortality, and it's in reverse as I talk about poisoning. Okay. Well, let's hope it's not that. Poisoning your mind? Because that's something that, like, long-term abuse does. Dissociation, and it's the roots of complex PTSD, you know, way back when the, psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever based Stockholm Syndrome on one woman. She was in captivity and trying not to die. Those were fawning behaviors. Like, she didn't actually fall in love with her captors. She was doing what she had to do to survive. You know, not dissimilar to Persephone. So tell me more about the bloom of mortality. Or is it new life that's not taking hold, like the escape. Because life, when Persephone returns to the earth, life returns. You know, spring. Is that halted? Got the 10 of shards. So there's the wands. And page of stones, page of swords. The student, or the spy card. So the 10 of wands is the burden. The good news is, in the upright, is the burden will end. In the Rider Waite, you would see somebody carrying these wands, like towards a little village, towards where they can set them down. But I'm getting the sense that, like, almost like this is a watcher. Like the watchers on the ridge. Like just observing and seeing this happen. Maybe it's not time for action yet. Or this could be someone, you know, physically around this situation that they're seeing the burden of the 10 of wands here. They're seeing you go through that, but a page might not have the power to act, just the power to observe, gather information. She's zooming. Queen of stones and 5 of shards. So conflict. Is the Queen of Stones trying to keep you in conflict? Because I get a little bit of a different sense from these two. Like the color schemes are different. This is more like a rogue in the field. And that is the spy card. They might... Maybe they're of the queen's court, but they're on Persephone's side. But they can't say anything. Because there's like an active conflict or something. And wands, that's fire, ideas. Could be people involved in this that all seem to have like a different idea of the situation. Oh, maybe this is the other side of the table a little bit, or maybe a little bit of a deeper dive from the last reading, because I talked about like this web of lies. Like person A got lie B, person B got lie C, and like on and on and on. So now maybe they're all comparing notes or something. And whoever this page of stones represents maybe is starting to come to the conclusion that, like, oh, hey, Persephone was kidnapped. Like, no matter what anybody says or how anybody perceives this situation, like, she was not consulted. She didn't give her consent. She was captured. She doesn't want to be there. So why can't the page say anything? What's the problem? The Enchantress. Oh, it's giving High Priestess vibes. And I think an enchantment card came out in that last reading, and it's pretty similar to Serpent's Embrace. Maybe this is the practitioner. If you actually are dealing with a practitioner, the enchantress is who that represents. Because her eyes are not obscured, but they're mostly closed. And then the enchantress, her eyes are covered. But that wouldn't matter for a high priestess. It's irrelevant. Maybe the Page of Stones is simply outranked by the enchantress. Just like would be unwise to go up against whomever this is. But I'm also kind of getting that even though it doesn't matter for a high priestess to physically be able to see, you know, like working in that archetype, maybe they didn't get all the information too. Like this might be a practitioner like an Etsy witch that was hired and not given all the information, which, again, like I said at the beginning, it's one thing to be lied to, it's another to participate. Twofold process. And something could be coming back on the enchantress for participating in something based on a lie. And maybe Page of Swords is watching this happen if that's somebody involved. Now, if we want to lean into that, is it one of the watchers? Kind of waiting to see, maybe once this enchantress realizes the truth of the matter, what they do. The Sun in reverse, and that's the Nine of Stones, Nine of Swords in reverse. Huh. So a delay to something being revealed. This might go a little deep into woo-woo land, but something to do with dreams. Because that can be a way for depending on whomst you're dealing with, they might be trying to dreamwalk, could be trying to influence your dreams. There's a loud noise like a backfire outside. Or maybe this is what the enchantress was trying and this has failed because they didn't get all the information. And something's like not being illuminated to them as to why they can't get into your dreams, get into your nightmares, things like that. Get another. So what else about the Sun and Ace of Shards, Ace of Wands? And that is like the dark crystal. And gives me a Kenaz vibes, the rune, the creative flame. But also consciousness, like Prometheus. We're going to stick with the Greek theme. Because Prometheus, like, dulled out consciousness, dulled out the flame against the will of the gods. Like, his punishment was to have his liver pecked at by an eagle, like, for eternity. And eventually it became known, or I don't know, accepted what Prometheus did. Like his methods. But definitely not initially. I need another one. What else about this Ace of Shards? The thought I just got was like something's trying to be buried within your dreams. Because your dreams, particularly nightmares, or your psyche has something to say to you. And whether that's processing trauma, you know, compiling information from the day, however you want to interpret that as where'd the word go? Messages? Visions? What have you? But that's memories or ideas, things like that will come up from like the subconscious, unconscious mind. It's almost like that's trying to be prevented from happening. Like, I don't know if the grip was lost on this triangulation, manipulation, whatever. Or maybe the grip has been lost on Persephone. So now it's like trying to influence behavior through influencing dreams. We've got the Hanged Man in reverse. Not changing your perspective. Not seeing like the truth behind the pomegranate seed. Which, regardless of if you're dealing with a practitioner, a manipulator, whatever, someone's trying to tread on your free will to get away with something, like, just face the consequences of your actions. We all make choices. We don't have to like all the choices we make. The Abyssal Whisper. Ooh, very eldritch. Eldritch horror. But I'm kind of getting that's like the nightmare realm, you know, the unconscious realm. Very large for a whisper, though. But it's like this gnawing, like you cannot ignore whatever's coming up in your own psyche that represents Persephone. That is like, I have been kidnapped, I want out. This isn't right. Like, no matter what people say, even if Zeus said it was fine, nobody asked me. Nobody told me about the pomegranate seeds, and nobody's letting me out either. It's like this kind of weird limbo maybe a liminal space, Hecate. That's like you haven't quite escaped the underworld yet. But you're so close. Like, I feel that that's really close, but it feels really far away at the same time. Maybe that's part of the illusion. So what do we need to know about the abyssal whisper? What's trying to come up from the unconscious? Because maybe this is information you need to get out. The pomegranate antidote. The Hierophant in reverse. Well, these are the Skeksis. It's like corruption. Because they were trying to take all the life force from the little guys. Can't remember their name. Like harvest them. That's what's trying to come up from the unconscious mind? And this is a little hard to describe because I get thoughts in pictures, words, and sounds. So I get like the whole shebang, right? So like my mind's ear, the sound of a car crash. You seeing something, seeing behind the curtain, causes some sort of destruction. It's almost like a collapse of the underworld. Feels connected to that sun in reverse. Like that's what we're trying to not be seen. Or whomever that negatively impacts doesn't want that to be seen. Hades, maybe? Because, I mean, it seems like Zeus doesn't care. Like, he literally gave the blessing for, like, go ahead and kidnap her. Yeah, 10 of Cups in reverse. This is unwanted. It's never going to progress to what is desired, because even if Hades is in love with Persephone, that's not how she feels. It's captivity. That doesn't lead to ultimate happiness. It's like over here was the illusion of ultimate happiness. This is just like, we can see it. All the cups are dumped out. Their contents, like, the happiness is not there. But there's some sort of continual harvesting of energy. Could even just be a tension. Like, that's what's keeping you in place, is your attention is ending up fixated on this situation. And that's how, like, you're being stuck. Because, in the real world, in most cases, it's not going to be literal chains around your ankles. It's going to be that mental cage that walks with you after you've been gaslit and manipulated and whatnot. The Emperor in reverse. Another Skeksis. Another corrupt leader. It's like the whole structure is bad. Like there's just no, at least all the way until the end of the movie, I think. Who was it? Was it the mystics that like transcended into the tall like hologram guys? I'm pretty sure. But the Skeksis were trying to remain immortal or achieve immortality. And I mean, Hades is the leader of the underworld. I think kidnapping people is pretty corrupt. So I don't know. I don't know if you just have somebody obsessed with you. Like limerence, unrequited, not mutual feelings, but they're not accepting this. And it falls into some sort of structure that, hey, maybe they know. Just like Zeus. Maybe they know you're unhappy and they don't care. Because for some reason, you present some sort of problem. Like being an illegitimate child or something. And so, like, yeah, go ahead and abuse her. Who cares? Something like that. Like, it's just kind of... Hades being obsessed with Persephone presented the solution that, like, Zeus didn't know he was asking for. You know, it was something like that. I don't quite know how that would translate to a real world scenario. But maybe you need a Star Wars marathon to like ponder a little bit. You know, I've seen at least the first 6 episodes. I think enough times that would be something that I could achieve like flow state in. And flow state really gets your brain problem solving. You know, when you come up with those great ideas in the shower, what have you, but just something to partially hold the focus of your mind. And maybe there's something in one of those movies that will click a puzzle piece together and like, oh, this person fits in this role as this character or something. It's amazing how those parallels can kind of come together, because this seems like a really strange situation, and one that you are wanting to come to an end, but isn't quite there yet. And so maybe the movie marathon, maybe you need to bide your time for a little bit. Maybe there is something yet to come with this Page of Swords, whoever that represents, whether it's somebody in the situation, one of the watchers, what have you. But we're just not quite at that next chapter yet. We'll keep digging into it though, because I feel kind of another chain of readings starting to emerge. But overall, I hope this helps. I hope this resonates, and if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.